Good evening. Welcome to Cocktails for CASA, a night of hope at home. We're joining you from the Antler Room, and we could not be more excited that you're here with us tonight. In just a little bit, we'll have a cocktail demonstration from Leslie, and then a little bit later, Chef Nick will demonstrate how to make the delicious pasta that is in your kit. We're so pleased that you could join us tonight and grateful for your support. Let's have a great time. Sit back, relax, enjoy your cocktail, and away we go.
Hi, today we will be making the gin pear cocktail that goes with your pasta kit. Here at the Antler Room, we don't like to name anything. We just like to show people what the ingredients are that you will have in your drink. And this is a really good transition from kind of summer to fall, and just an easygoing cocktail that shows off each of the ingredients and also shows you that we can all enjoy gin outside of a gin and tonic. So the first ingredient that we're going to be using is actually a gin that's made in Weston, Missouri. It is just a super easy, straightforward, it's what we use in our well, but more affordable option for you to have at home. So we will use 1.5 ounces of the gin. Put that in here. And then 1/2 ounce of pear liqueur. This is a really great option if you don't have a simple syrup at home, you don't have a bunch of pears that you have lying around, but you want to add a lot of flavor to your drink. We will be using a 1/4 ounce of allspice. We only use a 1/4 ounce of this. It adds a lot of depth to things, but it definitely can overpower if you use too much. And then lastly, we will use a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. And then we will top that with 1 ounce of ginger beer. But for you at home, all you have to do is shake your jar, put it over ice, and then top it with your ginger beer. And that is your completed cocktail. Enjoy.
While we can't be in person for Cocktails for CASA, A Night of Hope, we're happy to be together with you tonight and take you behind the scenes of this world-class restaurant, the Antler Room. This year's different, and a lot of things have changed due to the pandemic. But one thing that remains the same is your support, and we need you. Our kids need you. This year, we are on pace to serve over 1,100 children who've experienced abuse or neglect. Thanks for being here tonight and for your support.
Tonight's event is in celebration and service of our amazing CASA kids. These are some of the most courageous and resilient kids you'll ever meet. Unfortunately, all the children that we serve have been removed from their home due to abuse or neglect. It's a trauma that no child should ever face. So that's why we're so grateful that you've decided to invite us into your home so we can share a little bit about our mission and also give you and our children a sense of hope. And while you're gathered around thinking about tonight, I want you to consider what home means to you. It's not just a place, it's a feeling. It's a feeling of safety, of love, and like tonight, it's a feeling of fun and celebration. Those are the things that we want all of our kids to feel. And with your help, we'll give it to them.
The Antler Room came about. Basically, I had wanted to have a restaurant for a long time, but you need to find other people that would like to join you in that path. And thankfully, I met that person and convinced him that he could handle doing it. And it's just been kind of a whirlwind.
The restaurant itself was something that Leslie and I had been thinking about for years. So we knew we wanted to open a place in Kansas City, and we knew it wanted to be a reflection of us, the two of our experiences, and basically just be a place where people could come to have a really great time and maybe venture outside of the norm a little bit. So the name itself is actually a funny story because we could not come up with a name. We sat down at our apartment for days just writing down every name that came to mind. So we started thinking, okay, we're going to be in Kansas City. Let's look at Kansas City history a little bit. We read about, at that point, we were looking in the West Bottoms. Well, Antler kind of makes sense already because we actually had it as our the art on our logo before we even had the name for the restaurant. And so the name kind of just stuck because of that.
So the menu really is more, it has evolved so much from day one, but it has kind of started out with things that we like, but it's definitely very experimental we use flavors from all over the world, spices from wherever we're excited about.
That's really kind of the guiding principle behind the restaurant is staying true to yourself. If you know that what you're doing is good, then other people are going to appreciate it. If you're proud of the product that you're putting out, other people are going to buy into that. And so it's just about confidence and exploration and having a good time. We are asked every year to participate in a lot of charity events and to support a lot of local charities. But we're a small restaurant and we have to kind of target where we want to put our efforts. And I learned about CASA through Leslie and her father?
So my father is John Newsom, and he started out as a volunteer for CASA, ended up becoming a board member, and now he is just probably as big of a cheerleader for CASA as he is for our restaurant. And one of the first times that I actually ever saw him cry was when he spoke about his involvement with CASA. And I didn't know anything about it and kind of had no idea what it was or what he was doing, but got very interested when it had that much of an impact on him and what he was doing.
Just seeing the way that it affected the two of them made me want to know more about the organization. And the more I learned, the more I realized this is definitely an organization that I want to do my part to support. And it also helps that we're right here. We're right next to the headquarters. We're right next to family court. So it is kind of visceral. Every day we are in a place surrounded by people that are being affected by this organization for the better.
We feel, especially right now, that this organization is very necessary, and that what you're doing and the impact that it's having with people staying home, with kids that our lives have completely changed, it's really important. This event in particular was so creative and really intriguing, and I think being a part of something where you were able to completely switch gears and doing something that was interesting and a really fun collaboration and something that can showcase both of us, I think has been very exciting for us, and to know that so many people wanted to be a part of it is even more exciting.
I hope you're having a great time tonight. I know we are. But let's be honest, 2020 has been a hard year. What keeps us hopeful at Jackson County CASA is our volunteers. Our volunteers have stepped up in ways large and small to ensure the children that we hear the story of one of our terrific volunteers, Shamar. But I just want to say a quick thank you, not only to him, but all of our 350 active volunteers.
My name is Shamar Fonville. I thought it was important to become a CASA advocate because myself, I was a foster kid. I was a career foster kid, so for a long time. And I had people to help me along the way in my later years as a foster kid to kind of transition out of the foster home into, what they call a transitional living assistance program. And it was because of that help, it kind of helped me, go to college and do other things in my life. So when it became time for me that I felt right for me to give back, I reached out to CASA, and now I'm a CASA volunteer. And it was always a goal for me to kind of, give back, because I had so many people in my life to kind of contribute to my success and help me out along the way. Yeah, so I wanted to become a CASA volunteer. For what I can remember, I was probably around 6 or 7 years old when I entered the system. In and out probably 10 or 12 different homes, It was not just myself, I had other siblings. I had a brother and a sister as well. So as we went to different homes, some probably didn't want three siblings, so we had to go to another home and those things as well. So that was tough as well, not being with your siblings, going to different homes and all those things. So it was pretty tough. Because we had people that kind of help advocate for us and help us along the way, it made a difference. It is so important to be a CASA volunteer because there's so many kids out there that are needing help and needing an advocate. And just talking to a kid goes a long way. I can tell you that there's been plenty of times in my experience that if I just had someone to pick up the phone and call, I think it's very important because kids can feel lost. I know at times I felt lost, and just having that person to lean on and talk to can go a long way. And it gives kids hope that they can do better and do things like graduate from school and be successful. And that's another point as well. Although things in a kid's case can change, that's one thing we can affect. As an advocate, that we can be one constant in this kid's life. So when they have issues or whatever else, we can be someone they can talk to as a resource. So just those things that seem simple to you goes a long way in the foster kid's life. Yes, I'm very excited about this. I've been assigned to my first case. That's going really well. He's just graduated and he's transitioning to his own place and everything else. And I kind of told him my experience as well. And I think that really kind of hit home for him because he understood that I kind of understand what he was going through and how that transition period is very important. So I was able to relate to this particular case. So I'm very excited to be a part of that whole experience. I feel enlightened. I feel that I'm giving back. I feel positive. And this is something this is my dream. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I'm really, really excited by what's going to happen in the future. I would think that people would hesitate being a CASA volunteer because they feel like it's going to take too much time to become a volunteer and all that. And I would say that with my experience with the virtual training, it's the opposite. It's very convenient. The classes are in a time where you can take them. And I would say the people that conduct the training are very helpful. So any questions you have, you can, for sure ask them and they're willing to work with you. So don't be afraid, just reach out to any of the CASA members and they'll be more than happy to assist. We need you.
Thanks, Shamar. What an amazing story. And if you are impressed with Shamar, guess what? There are over 350 other stories just like his. Stories of volunteers taking their time and their heart and their energy to make a difference on behalf of our kids. Much like you're doing tonight, we're celebrating the opportunity for our kids to have a sense of home. So if you're interested in being a volunteer like Shamar or one of our other 350 volunteers, just consider finding us on our website. You can give us a call. We have virtual trainings going on every month. And yes, they're virtual. So much like tonight, we'll find a way to bring our mission to you from the safety and comfort of your own home. Because that's what it's all about, home. So the more of you that decide to support us, the more of our kids that can find that comfort.
Food to me is the great communicator in a family. I know that there's a lot of times when food can bring people together. There's also a lot of times where a really good meal can completely change the dynamic within a family. This is something special. So this is a dish that we made to highlight this season. So this is something that I'm comfortable cooking during the fall and also during this particular fall. I'm upstairs in my prep kitchen. You can see some spices behind us. We are gonna make a couple of cappelletti today. These are gonna be the same pasta that you'll find in your kit. A little later on, I'm gonna go downstairs to our kitchen and cook the whole dish so you can see how to do it at home. So the dough that we have here is what we call in the cooking industry a rich dough. What that means is that it's made with a lot of egg yolks. So it's basically just 000 or 00 flour, egg yolks, nothing else. We put a little bit of cinnamon in this, which is what gives it that color. We're gonna sheet it through our Imperia pasta sheeter. It's my favorite tool in the kitchen because I used to have a little hand crank one, which was pretty terrible. This makes everything a lot faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and sheet it and then show you guys how we form these. So I go through each setting twice. What that does is it widens the sheet of pasta out. You want to end up with a uniform wide sheet of pasta so that you can get the best yield once we punch out the little pieces. This job at the restaurant of making the pasta is actually done by one person. Her name is Annabelle. She comes in at right around 9 a.m. She leaves at about 6 every day, and all she does the entire day is just make pasta. There's nothing else to her day. She's incredible at it, but it takes that long just to make the pasta for each day that we're open. So it's 8 man hours for one night for 5 hours of service. But that extra attention to detail is what makes the pasta here one of my favorite things that we do. And she'll actually be one of the only members of the kitchen that is allowed to have headphones in while she works. One of the reasons for that is when you make pasta, you have to be extremely focused because it's really, really easy to make a small mistake that ends up ruining your whole batch. So she's allowed to kind of tune everybody out. She's gotten to the point where she's so good I don't even have to really speak to her. When I come in the morning, I just say, hi, how are you? We go over how much of everything is needed for that service, and then she gets to work. So at this point, I've rolled this out until it's not even a 1/4 of an inch. It's probably closer to 1/8 of an inch thin. These pieces we'll usually keep. We'll make pasta called maltagliati with this, which is basically just misshapen pieces. Cooks just the same as every other type of pasta, so it's actually really delicious. No need to get rid of it. So once we have our sheet, we have this cutter. It's one of many different shaped cutters that we have. This one we just bought online, very cheap from Italy. We're just gonna punch out our pasta. Probably make 6 pieces. So since this is a rich dough, it'll actually be a little difficult to cut out. Pretty wet compared to most of our pasta doughs. When we first opened, I made all the pasta in-house. Then my back started to hurt a little bit, so I had to hire somebody to do it. Just gonna take one. This dough is actually pretty wet. Usually we would spray it with water, but for this dough, I can just tell by the hydration level just by feeling it. I'm not actually gonna need that. Here's our filling. It's made with squash. We use probably, right now, 5 different farmers to procure our squash. So this is a mix of red curry squash, ricotta cheese that we make in-house, Parmesan cheese, a curry spice that we make in-house, a little bit of egg yolk, salt. That's it. So right there, we've just folded over. Make sure you get all the air out. And then we have what's called a mezzaluna, is this shape. From there, I actually will spray just a little bit of water into my finger. From here, pinch there, make sure there's no air. Bring that up while pushing this finger upwards. Once you have this shape, you're just going to press down just lightly so that it sits up on the plate. And that is finished capelletti. So per order, it's 20 pieces of this made by hand. And per night, we'll sell sometimes up to 30. And this is one of probably, depending on the night, 4 to 6 types of pasta that we have on the menu. So I'm going a little slower just to show everybody how it's made. But I gotta tell you, when we do these for service, this whole process has got to go a lot faster. Otherwise, there's no way to get it all done in a day. For us, it's really important that we make these by hand because I think that not only can you taste the difference with fresh pasta, but the people who get to make it take a lot more pride in what they're doing when they're not just operating a machine, but they're actually forming something by hand. So I think it builds character in the cooks that work here. I think that people appreciate what they're eating more. And personally, I find it really kind of therapeutic when I get to make these. So yeah, you can basically continue with this. This could be like an all-day project, or it can take as little as 10 minutes for a family of 4. Just depends on how fast you get. All right, so here we have our cappelletti that we made earlier. Go ahead and get some water on your stove. Bring it up to a rapid boil. You want to add salt to the water. Make sure it's as salty as the sea. That was the way that it was taught to me. So I don't actually know a measurement. Just have it be salty enough to where it doesn't bother you if you have a teaspoon of it, if you drink a little bit of it, but not so much that it's going to make everything overly salty once you finish the dish. So once you have your salted boiling water, you're going to add the pasta. It'll probably take around 2 minutes to cook. Again, we don't have exact measurements. We'll put some on a card for you so that you can rely on it if need be. But at the restaurant, what we actually do is we'll just taste a piece. So we'll put it in for, say, 2 minutes, and then we'll fish a piece out and taste it. Once it's cooked the way that we want, then we'll stop cooking it and make the rest of the dish. So in your kit, you're going to find some ratatouille. So this is just a mixture of a lot of vegetables that we're getting from our farmers right now. We use about 10 farmers total during the fall. This is a mixture of a lot of stuff. There's wax beans, there's squash, there's purple beans, there's 3 different types of peppers. Really, it's kind of like a kitchen sink dish that we make at the restaurant. You can make it in every season. It doesn't look like the ratatouille from the movie because technically that's a Bialdi. This is a ratatouille, not to be a nerd, but you have that to the side. Then you also have your squash butter right here to the side. You're going to wait for your pasta to cook. Once all of the pasta is floating, that's a good indication that it's getting there. So usually once it all floats, we'll fish a piece out, taste it, see how it is. I can tell just by looking at these guys that they are actually done. So next step is you're going to actually pull your pasta out. You want some of the pasta water to actually cling to the pasta when it goes into the pot. So put that in the pot. No heat turned on yet. We're going to take our ratatouille, add that to the pot. So, going to add a little bit of pasta water from the pot. Pasta water is really important because it actually has starch that is leached into the water from the pasta. That's what makes a restaurant pasta dish have that like silky texture to the sauce, is actually the starch from the water. So make sure you're using a little bit of that pasta water, just a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. You're gonna bring that up until it all starts to simmer. Be careful the pasta doesn't stick to the pot. Easy way to do that is just to make sure it's moving every few seconds. The squash butter, once you get a little simmer, we're going to go ahead and add the squash butter. The squash butter is just made with whole butter, squash juice. So we take squash, it's raw, we juice it, strain it, cool it down, and then mix it with room temperature butter. So I'm constantly stirring this just to kind of build a sauce. So you get nice color, nice yellow color. It's a very pretty dish actually. This is the first time I've made this all together, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. I always add salt and pepper to everything. I'm a kind of a black pepper freak personally. This is the most important step out of everything, is to taste your food. So now that I have this simmering, the sauce is a little thick in there. I'm gonna taste it. Delicious. Definitely needs salt. So I'm gonna do about a pinch or 2. And again, a lot of this stuff, it really should be, you're making it for you and your family, so make it how you want it. So we give you these guidelines, but if you taste it and you're like, hey, I would like, a little bit of heat in there, feel free to add some chilies. If, I want a little bit of salt. There's no wrong answer. It's whatever tastes good. So I try to teach that to my cooks as best as I can, We're just trying to make things delicious. Don't worry so much about following rules. That's the end of that butter. Once it's about that thick, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And we're going to plate it. Alright, so now we should have all ended up with something that looks like that. We're going to go ahead and plate it. So at the restaurant, we plate them all right side up, but it doesn't really matter. It tastes the same no matter how you plate it. But for us, we like to make sure that you can see the nice frills on the top. And we always try to get all of the sauce onto the plate. So we don't make sauces that are very thick. So it's important to us that all that flavor that is in the pot, all of that kind of spread out. And you can make the sauce a little looser than I have here, but I definitely wouldn't make it any thicker. To finish, we have some breadcrumbs. These are just made with olive oil, garlic, and parsley. We basically just save leftover bread from when we have a bread dish on. We dry it, and then we toast it with aromatics. This one's pretty simple. We'll make different ones depending on the dish. I just sprinkle those all over for texture. Really common at our restaurant to add something crunchy at the end of the dish. And something that won't be in your kit, but that are in season right at this very moment, are nasturtium petals. So I'm just doing this for a little extra garnish. Just because I can. I also love the flavor. And there's your finished dish.
Well, our night's about to wrap up, but I know yours is just starting. So thanks once again for taking the time to invite us into your home, learn just a little bit more about our mission, and hopefully give you a little bit more insight into how we're making a huge impact right here for the kids in our community. If you want to text to give, it's easy to do. Just text CASA KC to 24587. So, like Shamar, Angie, and the rest of our kids, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you all soon.
Thanks to our sponsors and supporters, board of directors, and advisory board for making tonight possible. We hope you had a great time. I have one more ask for you. This year, we're on pace to serve over 1,100 children, and we need your help. Giving to CASA is easy. You can text CASA KC to 24587. You can check out our website at jacksoncountycasa-mo.org. You can mail in a check. However you choose to give, don't forget that if you pay taxes in Missouri, your gift may be eligible for a Champion for Children tax credit. More information can be found on our website. Thanks again, and we hope you had a great time tonight.